Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mustang content. I know it's been a little while since I gave an update on this guy, but this is pretty much right where I left off in the last video. So he is an absolute cuddle bug. He's probably the sweetest Mustang that I've gotten initially. I think that's safe to say. I mean, he always likes to kind of just rest his head on me, and he's definitely interested in being rubbed and pet everywhere, and he's just so sweet. So a lot of the time I've spent with him so far has just been kind of bonding like this and hanging out with him. Now, I'm probably only going to post maybe one or two more updates on this dude simply because I packed quite a bit into this one, and I believe this horse has found an adopter already, and I'm going to announce his name later on in this video. But really, a lot of this is just hanging out with this horse and doing kind of odd end things here and there, but I'll kind of explain a little bit of the desensitizing I did to prepare him to leave his pen and make the half-mile trek to the normal barn, where he ended up living in the Mustang paddock with Peanut, Hank, and Honey, which are three other training Mustangs I have right now. One of the very first objects I introduced to him was this tarp right here, and surprisingly, he's actually pretty scared of it. So what I did to eventually work him through this was I fed him on it. His water bucket was placed on the corner of it because, of course, I want to make sure he can drink even if he is a little bit worried, but ended up being the best way to teach him that it wasn't as scary of an object as he thought. And he wouldn't eat off of it initially. The thing I had to do was I had to stand on it and feed him and kind of encourage him, so my presence actually gave him some confidence with it, which was pretty cool. But I usually start off by either feeding them on it, like I was talking about, or I drag it in front of them, so it's almost like they're pushing it. So it's not coming towards them, and it's always moving away if they walk towards it. Right here, I'm just trying to get him to engage and just kind of check it out on his own.
What a nice man.
See if he has any curiosity in it.
So
and I do apologize that some of these videos are taken vertically. Like I said, I think in the first video, I'm not planning on filming too much of this dude's progress, so kind of what I found for footage is all that's going to go in this video. Another thing I like to introduce is a saddle pad on their back. Of course, it can flop away if it needs to, and then of course that gives us another thing to work on, which is an object coming down from them. It did a couple times with him and he reacted great. We're also working on our sticky leading still. We need to get that a little bit stronger before we leave the pen. Another exercise I wasn't able to show you all, but it is them giving to pressure to the rope behind their hind end. And I may be able to show this with Nora or Stargazer, but usually you teach them to flex to each side to find that pressure and release and give, and then eventually you're able to get them to turn around with the rope. So this helps get horses comfortable if the rope gets in a weird spot, and also gets them more comfortable with you being behind them, but in a safe manner where they can constantly move through it initially. In this clip that's been playing, you can see that he's gained a lot more curiosity with coming up to me first, and he has grown a huge love for alfalfa cubes. So this is actually going to be our best friend and kind of safety net to get him up to the other paddock. You knew it was coming. We are walking all the way up to the other barn. And then, of course, once we got into the paddock, we just hung out for a while. And again, this dude is the sweetest. I feel so lucky, and I don't want to take advantage of how kind he is. But even the amount of times that he just walks up to me in the paddock on his own is super cool. You can just tell that his trot is going to be so smooth under saddle. I love how confident this dude is. Of course, he's not ready to ride yet, and we have a lot more boxes to put a check in, but he even let me lean across them, which was pretty neat. And here I got some actual footage of him, so you can see me tacking him up western for the first time and kind of how I go about that. So the saddle pad introduction is going to be taking it on and off each side a bunch, and then of course I let him sniff it if he needs to, and then I take him for a walk with it a little bit, let it move around. Again, if it falls off and hits the dirt, that's another thing we can work on, is desensitizing to that, so I'm not too worried about it. I really like the releases this dude gives. He's just so, I know I keep calling him confident, but he's so confident in letting me know how he's feeling. Like, he's very easy to read, which is pretty cool. This part is always so fun. I don't know why, because I'm pretty strong and I can throw hay bales over my head over a 6-foot or 7-foot fence, but for some reason, Western saddles and I just don't get along quite so much. So what I do is, again, similar to the saddle pad, I let him sniff it as much as he needs to from each eye, and then I try to move it around to have it make noise and also motion on each side of him. Eventually I'll try to get it up to like touching his shoulder. Again, I try to make it as weird as I can and lift it up pretty high to the height it will be when it's on his back, or apparently even higher than that, and get him used to what it looks like, what it sounds like, all that good stuff. I always try to be careful about where my lead rope is and make sure that it's safely in my hand, where if he does pull away hard enough, I'm not going to get tangled in it. And he is ridiculously tolerant to me rubbing it all over him, so he's kind of giving me the green lights there. You can tell he's still thinking about it though, so I want to make sure that I really have everything feeling alright, and always make sure before you put a saddle on your horse the first time, I recommend using a surcingle or something a little bit lighter than the Western saddle, which is why I usually do a surcingle and then an English saddle, and then I go to Western. It's just a little bit easier for your horse to carry something lighter and maybe get them used to that cinch pressure without all of that weight on them initially. So I'm getting ready and prepped to reach under him to grab the girth, which he's worn before, doing a little bit more work with the saddle pad. Just from the way that he looked at it there when it was on the ground, I need to make sure that I work a little bit more on not even just saddles, but objects in general on the ground, and kind of prepping him to send near things, because from the way he moved around there, it kind of indicated to me that that might be a little bit of a trouble-y area for him. Again, so not only is he having to deal with how it looks, but also the weight of it. And you can kind of see his body moving back and forth. He's trying to figure out how to distribute everything. I'm always careful the first couple times I take them a few steps away from where they were initially standing, because it can cause quite a big spook for them, and I don't mind if they spook, but I just don't want it to be on top of me, so I try to be a little bit careful about that. And I don't mind if my saddle hits the dirt or anything, so that's why I'd rather, if they take a few steps and the weight is really weird to them without it being cinched up, then we can work on, again, them just holding that weight before I completely secure it to them. But just from those few steps, he's more looking at me like, why are you acting weird? I don't understand what's really going on. Again, all his reactions here are really, really good. Just all those micro adjustments. I'm really making sure he knows it's up there and that he feels confident enough with it. Of course, he's not going to be 100% because this is his first time
Not that I
wearing it
really
and
want to be
prepping
sitting
for
on
it.
this block right now either.
He was perfect with the English saddle, and he didn't care about the girth pressure with the surcingle or the English saddle. You're standing like a doofus.
You gonna move? I'm recording.
He's not gonna move. He's like, is this what you wanted? Come on. Oh, he's definitely a Western horse.
Yeah.
He looks cute in that.
So there are his exciting first steps with the Western tack, and of course his first time ever wearing a back cinch. No reaction. Cool as a cucumber.
Pretty chill.
So eventful. I think you should hop on him.
He doesn't like when I jump on him bareback.
Well, you're not bareback right now.
He's not sure about it yet. Good boy.
You can sit a buck. Don't foresee him.
I don't start them Western. He's not comfortable with things that tall above him yet. I gotta wait a little bit. I have to make sure he's fully comfortable. Alright, that's probably good.
The first few times they wear tack, I just basically put it on them, take it off a couple times, put it back on, have them move around, walk, trot, and then sometimes canter. He's a little bit lazy, so we're still working on the canter even without tack, getting him to actually pick it up and hold it. So I think I probably had him canter a couple steps, and there was no reaction, but it was more like kind of him running into it. After that, I untack him and then do the same thing for a couple more days. But super pleased with how he handled everything. Even just here you can see his reaction. He's maybe had a surcingle come under him twice and an English saddle girth come under him twice, and really he had no reaction to that dropping and coming into his eye on the right side, which is pretty cool to see. He's just such a willing dude. And usually what I do, again, early on in the tacking up stages with every horse, not just Mustangs, but any horse I'm starting under saddle, is once I put the saddle up, I'll take the saddle pad and put it back on them. Oh, and I almost forgot the most important part of the video, and probably the reason that some of you clicked on this, is his name reveal. This dude's name is Smudge, because I just thought it was really fitting. It's a cute name, it's an easygoing name, and this dude is an easygoing dude. Thank you for watching, and I hope you stay tuned for the next video.